And the point was raised, or maybe I raised this point, the fact that there's, all this undermining and sabotaging going on. What do you think that stems from? Is that the fact that women can be intimidated by the competitive threat that other women pose to them in the workplace? Is that what's driving it?
Wasn't there something called the queen bee syndrome sometimes? That, and particularly when you're the star of the show, and there's another attractive, particularly if you're attractive, smart, talented women come in, then do you support them, or do you? I've certainly had the experience where everything I did was wrong. Nothing was right. And later found out, it's kind of that queen bee thing coming in. So.
But some of it comes down to distance, I think. What kind of distance in terms of we want to mentor and befriend to some extent in a corporate sense or professional sense the women that are in our lives professionally, but we also want to be careful that we keep some distance. Absolutely. Going back to your story about a boss who was first your friend and colleague and coworker and then had information because you were friends that she could use if she chose to really punish you.
Right, but how does that speak again to this whole thing, or how do we deal with the fact that we may feel insecure by someone else's accomplishments? Now, none of us, of course, I'm talking about all those other ladies. We've been through that, because clearly maturity plays into that.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
and that's exactly
but I've
where I
been
was
there,
going.
and I know where that is.
Exactly where I was going. When you feel comfortable and confident, then you're more willing to teach others, I think.
Right.
We start in the book saying, always consider yourself a VIP. That is not just for the young people coming in.
That's
also for the people who've always been there. A lot of us are standing on others' shoulders, but there are a lot of people standing on our shoulders as well.
That's true. Right.
And oftentimes you have women that say, I did it the hard way, so you have to do it the hard way as well. But those are usually the people who are not so nice anyway.
Right.
Their values,
Some of it's personality driven.
Some of it is personality.
Those are not the nice folks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I find that too. I find that if somebody's really secure about themselves, that will never be an issue. And when I first started out, I worked in a totally male-dominated field. Honestly, I was the only woman in the office, aside from two secretaries, much older women. And I had the complete, I probably, somebody could say I'm a queen bee in the sense that I had all the attention, and you know what?
But if a young woman came in, but if a younger
we did
woman came in that had
attractive.
Not that I don't know if anyone could be more attractive than you.
Right.
But and how did you manage that?
She was a young collector, and I have to tell you something. She actually came up to me and said, "Oh, I just want to be just like you."
Oh, she knew what to do.
Right.
Wasn't that smart?
And you know what? I didn't feel threatened, and I think you do get used to that position, being in the limelight.
Yeah.
And she just knew how to express her opinions, and at the same time, but I want to know what you know.
And she was respectful.
Yeah. And she was smart.
There you go.
Yeah, so
She was savvy.
She was
savvy. She was savvy.
So let's talk. Now, I think let's shift the conversation into that, because that's a perfect segue into what kinds of strategies and tactics do women need to start to, I guess, employ with one another so that we're able to compete fairly and honestly.
Well, just understand that when you're going into this type situation, that you have to understand that there's a game to play and accept that you must play it.
Right.
Right.
So this is not the same church values that you've grown up with.
Yeah.
Lying means not quite giving you all the information versus telling the entire truth. Right? Forgiving but never forgetting.
I see that.
All of those things.
See that.
There's a balancing act that you need to play. And the person, the young lady who you're talking about, was strategic.
Yeah.
She's saying, I see you, I appreciate all you've done, I want to learn what you've done.
That is very endearing when a young woman
But
says
when you
those
have
things.
that, then you feel
Who's sincere?
Yeah.
Right.
Who's
Who is
sincere?
sincere?
I guess
Yeah.
she was sincere. She was totally
right
sincere.
Away, before you accept she's totally sincere, you test her. And
There you go.
Right.
I
You're
would
going to
say
test
that.
her.
Right.
But
Wow.
Marsha, on that point, I was just
I-
sitting
wow.
here thinking that I have younger staff, and staff all along the age spectrum, male and female, but especially with the women who are, like, they have a lot to learn from me, but I have a lot to learn from them in terms of the new workforce. And so I think that one of the way that we work is, I mean, I couldn't do half the things the young people who work for me do now, and you need to do them in this marketplace.
And you know what's nice is when you're old enough and mature enough to say, I need you as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you know what? But maturity,
I like that.
maturity. They say some people get old with wisdom comes with age. Some people just get old.
Right.
So you know, everybody.
And perhaps we need to remember, so that we can have more empathy for some of these young women, what it was like.
For us.
We were coming along.
For us, when we were coming.
That's
It
right.
was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Well, speak for yourself, Marsha, because I remember clearly.
I remember clearly.
But doesn't it rest there? Being able to have some empathy for what younger women are going through, and then being able to model the kind of behavior that you think is appropriate.
Is appropriate.
Right?
As more women enter the workplace, because now they're starting to really gain on men, we are still trying as women to fit into the male model.
Right.
Of what work is.
And
But here's the power of the collective, where we need to not just, yes, we need to mentor others and all that sort of thing, but to look across and look out and see that as a group, we can start making different decisions.
But could it be that what is viewed as a strategy for success or a way of being, characteristics for success, don't really align with being a good woman, meaning that,
with
good girl.
Exactly, good
with
girl.
changing the game,
Exactly.
with changing the game.
I'm just wondering, our expectations on how people act in authority, do they align with women?
Well, this is a whole other discussion, but if we could take it politically and say, okay, as more women are elected to members of Congress, whether it's Senate or House, and are there more focus on issues that affect women in the workplace and in the home, but just in general, and how many women is it going to take?
My question's a little different. My question's a little different.
Okay.
I want to get back to the itch, the B word, the fact that if a woman is asserting herself, is direct, is straightforward, takes no prisoners, all of a sudden she loses some femininity in there.
Well, you can do it in a feminine way.
Okay.
How
does that look?
Well, I think it looks.
No.
Or conniving.
Not at all. Not at all.
Interesting,
No. That's interesting because here's what comes to my mind in terms of setting clear boundaries. And I can think about meetings that I've had to run, and there were men who were behaving badly in the meeting, and without yelling at them, without calling names, this is how we're going to run this meeting. This is not what is the point? What contribution do you want to make? We need to move on. Now, I was considered and I was complained about because they weren't able to take over. And you have to be okay with that, because that's something that Marsha said. Marsha said that before. Now, I was never nasty. I was never. Now,
they didn't want to see that coming from you.
Who the hell are you to tell me to shut me down in this meeting? Because essentially, that's what I did.
But you have to be comfortable with that.
That's right.
And that's the part.
Or you have to accept it.
You have to accept it.
You have to accept it. You don't have to be comfortable with it.
This is true.
Okay.
You have to
But
accept
there's
it.
a consequence
that goes
to
with
that
that.
behavior,
Yes.
right?
Well, the consequence sometimes.
You might,
Sometimes, but you can get very good at that.
Exactly.
That's right.
That's
right.
That's an important skill to have.
Yes, it is.
Lisa,
But you know what, ladies? I think we're going to have to wrap. But guess what, viewers? We're going to have this episode is going to we're going to have a continuation episode of this.
Very right.
Thank you.
So anyway, that's all the time we have for this week. I'd like to thank Marsha Haygood, our author of A Little Black Book of Success, Laws of Leadership for Black Women, and our Savvy panel. For more information, please go to our website, www.brooklynsavvyshow.com, or to todaysavvywomen.com. See you next time on Brooklyn Savvy.